Go back 20 years, there were mom and pop businesses in town, and every mom and pop business would let a volunteer fireman leave the work during the day and respond to a call.
It was not unusual for, if it was a bad call, might be, just say there's two people at a business, they would put clothes gone to fire, and people just understood. Nobody got mad, nobody got excited. It's just like, we'll come back when the fire's over.
I think the biggest issue is the decline of jobs in rural communities. At one time we had a good manufacturing base, which a lot of the volunteers would work in these factories or industry. And that decline across the country, it attributes to the decline in the fire service.
And everybody was willing to get up and go do their job here and then go back home, and maybe a little short on sleep, but you still did it because we're called at somebody's worst day, so we're always there to help them.
There's a state law that if you're late for work because you're on a fire call, you can't be reprimanded by your employer, but you start work at 6 o'clock. If a call comes in at 5, well, do you go to the call or you just get ready to go to work?
Most of the communities in Putnam County anymore are bedroom communities. Nobody's home daytime. There's no one available to respond to the calls. That's why it's hard to get help during the daytime. Hard to get the volunteers has a lot to do with the economy. Many families working 2-3 jobs.
Back in the day when I first started, there's a waiting list to get on the fire department. Everybody wanted to do it. It's tough now. A lot of the stuff I see is in the families that sometimes the husband and wife work opposite shifts because of daycare.
I also see two people working in the family, so you're handing off kids from one parent to the next. They're obviously staying at home watching the kids. I see the families are a lot more active, the kids are a lot more involved, which means the parents are getting involved as well, which is a good thing. But all those together, I believe, are creating the decline.
20 years ago, you played baseball in the summer and you played football in the fall and basketball in the winter. And today, there's something for kids to do every day. And a lot of parents are involved in that, and so they just simply don't have time to volunteer.
Travel sports, 20 years ago we didn't have soccer and hockey and a lot of these other stuff, and now they got traveling sports. And any parent that has children that do traveling sports, it's a huge time commitment. You're gone all the time in season.
Years past, I've been on the department for 40 years now. Back then this was like the priority, and okay, I'll catch the kids when I can. And now it's everybody's family oriented, and that's what it really needs to be. You need to be with your families, and so it limits our numbers.
Families and people are busy. It's very difficult, and I don't see it just an issue with the fire service. I see with all sorts of organizations and non-for-profit volunteer groups, that type of thing. And so yeah, but it's hitting the fire service very hard.
And we try to recruit. We're always recruiting. We get new people in all the time, but you got to pass a background check. Believe it or not, we got pretty stringent rules on the background check. I bet you half our applications are rejected right there with the background checks. Criminal records. We do physicals, the drug screen for pre-employment. And then sometimes people realize they're not cut out for it. Over the years, I've had firefighters come in after a bad call and turn their stuff in. Or they just stop showing up and we reach out to them, hey, what's going on? I'm not cut out for it. I don't like what I saw. I don't like the pressure, the stress. And we lose people that way too.
I think some of it today of the challenges it's in regards to the amount of training that's required in order to become certified, whether it's in fire or EMS. Right now, the people don't wanna go in and take the classes. You got the classes that are a lot longer now compared to what they used to be. And now it's pretty much anything, you're gonna do, whether it's auto extrication, confined space rescue or anything like that, it's all certification. So you gotta be certified in all those areas. And it becomes so hard for some individuals that are actually working on the, for the part-time or the volunteers to work with their, have their main job going, family time, and then also in regards to trying to put in the hours to get all their certification.
The training's huge. I mean, if you don't meet your training requirements after a year, you're let go. Because, we gotta try to enforce training.
Right now, I believe it's around 120 hours for the basic aspect for the fire, and then like for the EMS, we're running roughly about the same, and usually those classes are at nighttime. Sometimes we have done classes in the area for on the weekends and that to help out some that can't make it around.
The call volume's huge compared to what it was. With all the documentation, even before I was chief, we used to run 35, 40 calls a year. Now we're 140, 150 a year.
And there's not as many homegrown people as there used to be. The people that are imports, for lack of a better term, they just don't have the sense of community that someone that grew up here and lived here and still lives here and is raising their kids here has. And part of that's a tradition too, is your dad was on the fire department, you got in the fire department, whereas if you move to a community that you don't know anybody, and your kids are busy in activities and you're working a lot of hours, and you don't have that sense of wanting to help the community and volunteer to the community.
I don't think the public in general realizes the situation. They think they dial 911, they're gonna get a fire department there. Yeah, they might get a fire department. There's been other communities where we've actually had to go mutual aid to because nobody responded. I don't think the citizens in those communities realize that, if there's no firemen here,